What I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain to you how, with no confrontation whatsoever with Iain Stamp or his members of staff, how you can obtain money back, okay? And it's a very, very simple process. Step one, you need to go to the Action Fraud website, and you can either phone up Action Fraud or you can register online and you report the procurement of funds from you under what is in effect false pretense. He's claimed he can do something when he can't, right? That's a lie. It's pure and simple a lie. He can't do what he said he was going to do. In other words, that's not the truth. And if it's not the truth, what is it? There's not really much room for maneuver. What is it? If it's not the truth, it must be... It's a bloody lie, right? It's a mistruth. So you go and report to Action Fraud the fact that you've spent however many thousands of pounds, given it to Matrix Freedom, you feel that you've been scammed, they can't do what they say they're going to do, and you want to have a crime reference number. And you will obtain from Action Fraud a crime reference number. You then go to your credit card provider, and let me make something clear. It doesn't matter whether you stopped payments with your credit card provider. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in arrears. Doesn't matter. The fact that you used a credit card to make a purchase via Matrix Freedom means that you can do what's called a Section 75 claim under the Consumer Credit Act 1974. Now, what does Section 75 mean? What does that cover? Well, allow me to explain. When you make a purchase using a credit card, the credit card provider becomes jointly responsible for the provision of that service. In other words, if someone can't provide the service that they're talking about, you can make a claim against the bank. Now, it doesn't matter whether the bank can or can't get the money back from Matrix Freedom. That's between the bank and Iain Stamp, right? You can get the refund from the bank. If the bank gets funny and refuses to reimburse you, you now have a court claim against the bank, Matrix Freedom in both of its kind of designations as a PMA and I would say as a division of Senjay Limited in the Seychelles. And yes, you can issue out of jurisdiction, but I would also include Iain Stamp and the member of staff that explained it to you or sold it to you, right? You have a Part 75 claim under the Consumer Credit Act 1974 against those parties. And in all likelihood, the bank will pay up. And then what will happen is the bank will go after Iain Stamp. And so you can get your monies back without any kind of conflict with Iain Stamp or Matrix Freedom, with no bullshit. And you can allow the banks to go get their money back from him. Because I'll tell you, right, the banks control the City of London. And the City of London police, okay, who you access via Action Fraud, the City of London police are responsible for financial orientated crime, and they are already handling the case against Matrix Freedom and Iain Stamp, okay? Now, we've got that from police, okay? We've got that information from police and from those that have already reported their cases. So it is essential that if you feel you have been lied to or misled, that you first report the matter to Action Fraud, get your reference number, then give the reference number to the bank and demand your money back. Okay? Simple as that. No controversy, no aggravation. And what I would then do is to smooth it over with the bank. All you basically say is, look, you know, I felt like I was having some difficulty, or I thought I was going to have some difficulty with the way the economy's going and the aftermath of COVID and stuff like that. And so I approached what I believed to be a law firm offering solutions, or a claims management firm or a financial management firm offering solutions. And it turns out that they're something different and they're not doing what they claim they can do. And that's all you have to explain. Gets you off the hook, no problem, right? Then once you've brought about peace and you've got everything back to the way it was, then I would urge you to do some research use the White Rabbit Trust YouTube channel, do some research, okay, and then learn how to take it on yourselves. But be aware, if you try to wipe off unsecured debt, it will most likely, at least in the short term, it will most likely adversely affect your credit file. So people, don't fuck about with Iain Stamp. There's no point entering into that bullshit conversation. Go to Action Fraud, get your crime number, go to the bank, Section 75 claim under the Consumer Credit Act 1974, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, okay? From the information that's been given to me, it appears to me, so in my opinion, Iain Stamp is now attempting to implicate members of staff, right? In other words, he's trying to pass the buck onto members of staff and is now accusing members of staff of giving out false information, right? Again, I knew this would happen, right? I knew this would happen. If you do some investigation into some of his previous operations, you'll see that members of staff were left carrying the can when all the money was lost, right? He has a track record. He has a track record in doing this, right? So he's now attempting to apportion blame onto members of staff. But one thing is for sure, having now admitted to members of staff, right, that he can't do what he's been telling them and you that he can do, members of staff now have to tell the truth. And I now have witnesses who can attest to the fact that members of staff ought reasonably have been aware, because they have now been informed as part of an information drive and as part of a communication drive to rebrand everything as we are a company going through evolution. These processes are evolutionary. We are pioneering these processes and, we will find a way. That's not what you've been advertising, Iain, because what you've been advertising and what you've advertised for 3 years is that you had the way, you knew the way, you were the way, right? Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. What I would say is, members of staff over at Matrix Freedom, look, I don't know the basis on which you joined, right? I'm assuming that you wanted to do something good. I'm assuming that you believed that Iain had all these solutions, which he doesn't have. You're now embroiled in this, and you can go one of a couple of ways. You can either attempt to do your job whilst being completely transparent and open with people by explaining that actually, no, we can't wipe off mortgages, but we're going to try. We're going to try and find a way. Which basically is a bit of a nullity, really. Why would someone give you funds on that basis? It wouldn't happen. But here's the deal. We now know that you can't do this, that you can't do what you're advertising. We now know it. Which means that if you start telling people that you can, we now have clear proof, evidence of fraud by false representation. So, members of staff, to be absolutely sure that you do not deviate from the path, we have recruited a whole host of mystery shoppers. So members of staff, you're now being tested, okay? You're now being tested. Let's see whether you can step up and pass the test.